Welcome to Making It with Terry Wollman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wollman.
I'm your host, Terry Wollman, and today my guest is comedian, actor, and now, finally, recording artist, Tommy Davidson.
Touchdown. There you
That's
go.
right. Let me tell you what the show's about, and I'll tell you a little bit about my guest, and then we are off to a great conversation today. Time passes quickly, and I've learned that we should do what's in our hearts and do it well without apologies or excuses. I encourage you to create your art and your life in your own unique way and express your artistry with joy and with abandon. Be willing to work uncompromisingly for what you believe in. Success will have a better chance of finding you when you live your life with integrity, focus, and passion. Be selfish with your discipline and selfless in your performance. And Tommy, my guest, knows this better than anybody. And don't forget to have fun along the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're joining us in our live audience today, we'll be inviting questions and comments during the second half of our show. So make it count. Simply request an invite to speak, and my amazing moderator, Dr. Lisa, will bring you on stage to join the conversation.
Okay.
Let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Tommy Davidson is a comedian, director, actor, and singer, most recognized for his role in the sketch comedy TV show In Living Color. He began his stand-up comedy career in 1986 when a childhood friend persuaded him to perform at the Penthouse strip club in Parkview, Washington, D.C. Spotted by major concert promoters, he started getting booked as the opening act for music icons Patti LaBelle, Kenny G, and Luther Vandross. It wasn't long before he came to Hollywood and was headlining the biggest rooms in town. Tommy's exceptional range as a performer in comedy, acting, and music led to a variety of feature film roles, from Spike Lee's Bamboozled to Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls. Tommy Davidson, welcome to Making It.
Thank you. Thank you. I like the name of that. I like the name of that. Yeah. And
how come?
Well, that makes it Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah, that makes it Tuesday. Making it is in real time.
That's
Making
right.
it is not in the past, and it's not in the future. Making it is a now thing.
It's right now.
Yeah. So Tuesday's the last day I have until tomorrow. So it's now. And I made it to here.
You sure did. And thank you for making the time. You're a busy guy.
Thank you.
So you live in the now? Is that pretty much how you have made it through your life successfully? Do you think about the past or the future or both, but you're really mostly in the present?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it took a little time to know that that's how things really work, for me. It took a little time to figure that out. If I spend too much time in the past, then I start to relive that as something that's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I start to react to that as if it was back there,
Right.
And if I live too far in the future, then things are so far away that it gives me the feeling that I have time. I have time to make these and put these things in place. Or why worry about it because it's so far away or whatever.
Right.
So it there's a balance there. There's a balance there because it's simple. The only thing I can do actually is what I can do now.
Right.
That's the only thing I can do about any situation. Even if that's surrendering a thought, even if that's changing an old idea, even if that's accepting a new idea,
Mm-hmm.
or even if that's I'm going past a barrier that's been there. You take a deep breath and go, you know what? I'm going to think about that differently right now. You know what? I'm going to take this action right now. And it takes me to the three birds on the log, analogy. Three birds on the log. One decides to fly away. How many do you have? Three. No, it only made a decision. The action is the only thing that you can do to back up a decision, to make it real,
And one of the things that I know that we share, because we spoke about it previously, is that life is short. And you're basically framing that right now. We don't, you're going to miss the whole journey, the whole experience if you're busy looking too far back or too far forward.
Mm-hmm. And drive yourself crazy with the question, what came first, the chicken or the egg, it's a little bit, too complex,
Mm-hmm.
We're all up under this one sun, and there's a box of kittens somewhere having a ball in an abandoned car. You know what I mean? Or there's, some cab driver that's on his way to the deli and his family after work,
Right.
It's
right.
all, this is all under one sun. So here we go.
Right.
And that's the thing that really has changed about me. It's just the experiences that I've had, both negative and positive, have given me that reality,
Recent changes or it's gradual and continual?
Gradual changes, continual changes, learning
right.
and listening, learning and listening, being teachable.
Yeah. You also have a beautiful brand new reminder in your home of staying playful and staying present.
Oh yeah.
Share that?
Just had a 10-month-old. Well, she's 10 months now, but just had a daughter.
Beautiful
about
daughter.
10 months, and beautiful little being, and not my only child, but definitely a different experience. 58 now, and my career's a little more settled. I have a little more time to watch her grow, and it's just an amazing thing to watch.
How old were you when you had? How old were you when you had your first kid?
24.
Okay.
I was only about 24. He's 32 now.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in that math,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she's a sweetie. She's and there's an innocence. I want to talk about. There's so many things, but why don't we? Since we're talking about her right now, she's got this ability to communicate without words. We were talking about get me out of this guy's arms right now as an example.
Yeah, like her communication is really, really acute. If you hand her to somebody, she's not like, I'll hang out for a minute, or I'm not comfortable, so can you come get me? She's like, get me away from this guy now. You know what I mean? She's like, get me out of here. She's just right to what she wants.
She lets you know.
And she lets you know, boy. Like, come and get me. This ain't cool. You know what I mean? And one time I'm in the airport with her, and a guy is kind of, making little sounds and making her smile and stuff like that. And he turned around to talk to somebody else, and she goes, ah! He did. And he turns around, he goes, oh, okay, sorry.
Right.
So there's a process there. You know what I mean? There's some order there. Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm really excited to talk to you about music, but I want to give some people just sort of context and talk about life a little bit first. And I wanted to start this conversation by you talking about the joke that changed your life from your first performance. I'm curious about that moment.
Yeah, well, I went to a friend of mine. I got a new job as an assistant chef at a Ramada Inn, and that's coming a long way for an 18-year-old. And at that time, I worked my way from leaving my mom's house at 16, to my own apartment, and having 2 cars way back then, at 18. And I went to my friend. I'm all accomplished, and I go to him and I go, hey man, I got a job as a Ramada Inn. He said, man, you're the stupidest dude I ever met in my life. You should be in Hollywood, doing comedy. You can be one of the biggest movie stars and all this stuff. And I'm like, you're just mad because you ain't got no job.
Right.
So he finally called me and said, listen, I got you 5 minutes at the Penthouse. I'm like, the Penthouse? The Penthouse is the worst strip club in the world in Washington, worst part of Washington, D.C.
You mean rough?
He comes to my house, he makes me do it. I go down there, and the guy's standing there when I walk in. He's going, buddy, you got 5 minutes. And I look at my friend Howard and I go, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, he said, I don't care what you do. Just say something. And from the first thing I said, people laughed. And I swear to you, I'm sitting in front of you right now. That's exactly how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I played at the club for the next 3 months. People were showing up. It was crowded. Promoters started hearing about me. I started performing around the city, winning talent shows. Next thing you know, I went to New York, did the Apollo. A year later, I
And
was
you
starting my
won.
career. Yeah.
Right. But you won a competition at the Apollo too, right?
Well, I think I won. You know,
Well, apparently you did, because we're here
guy.
talking. You've had.
Yeah. Right. Well, I did actually. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, of
you
course.
know, if you can win by applause, if the victory is won by applause, then it was a little bit rigged because it was between me and a wonderful singer, David Peetson, who's now passed. God bless him. So it's down to us. It's been a whole year. I've been mowing my way through singers, you know, saxophonists, and it's only comedy with me, right? And the guy raises his hand over me. What do you think, Apollo? Is it Tommy Davidson? Yeah. Is it David Peetson? Yeah. Is it Tommy Davidson? Is it David Peetson? It's the equal high,
Right.
you know? And then finally he goes, okay, who do you guys want? Do you want Tommy Davidson from Washington, D.C., or David Peetson from New York City? You know, and I'm going, well, I'll lose the applause.
That's right. I see where that's going.
You know, that's for sure. You know, but to get that far as a comedian, it puts me in first place.
Yeah, right.
It puts me in absolutely first place because that wasn't supposed to happen. You know, I'm stacked up against the best singers in the world, you know, and I win that contest. And then what that did was it introduced me to my manager, who walked up to me during that week and said, hey, I'm an attorney and I'll quit law school to manage you because you're going to be the bigger star. And he said, I'll fly you to LA for a week. If you like it, you know, would you be willing to move out there and let me manage you? I said, sure. We went out there and I scared the hell out of everybody. When I went out there, I went to different comedy clubs and different showcases, and went to one club where Damon and Keenan Wayne, anybody you could name that was in comedy at the time, Robert Townsend. And I left a crater in the comedy scene when I left there, and I was only there for 2 weeks.
What made you so different?
So,
like what?
Yeah.
How did you make that crater? Were you fearless?
Yeah, I was. And it was something that really spurred me forward because I was very grateful about the move. Because what put me at the Ramada Inn at that moment was a guy who had lost college because I needed to keep my job, was fired from that job, you know, and I survived to that point. And it was my mother, you know, when I told her I lost college because I lost this job, because it was tied to that, she cried right then and there. She cried, started crying. And then she said something to me. She said, you know what? She said, when I found you in the trash, I promised myself that I'd put you through college. And that was a dream for me.
Right.
But she said, but that's kind of selfish because that wasn't my dream. I mean, that was my dream. She said, you know what, man? Because we talked as friends. She said, as long as you do something that makes you happy, you're not hurting anyone, and you can help people, I'm happy about it. And it was during that period that this whole thing happened, because I got the job at Ramada Inn, and I was telling Howard that. See? It was like a domino effect of something good.
Absolutely. And I want to point out, because a lot of people know because you speak about this publicly, but some people might not know. When you say your mother picked you out of the trash, that's real. That's your mom found you abandoned as a little baby, and literally and figuratively rescued you and adopted you.
She sure did.
By the way, thank you, Lisa. And hi, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Terry and Tommy. I am doing great. It's good to see you, and it's good to hear you. Doing good.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining
Lisa's a
us
dear
today.
friend. Lisa's a dear friend, and she's from my hometown.
Yeah.
And brilliant. I
Yes.
mean, brilliant. Like,
Yes.
Love you.
the world ain't got enough of Lisa. Trust me.
I'm with you
Trust
100%.
me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be hearing more from Lisa later on in the show. And Lisa, thanks for joining us. So your mom, very special person. By the way, an
Hmm.
artist herself, Emmy Award-winning photographer. She's done a lot of work from what I learned preparing for this show, having to do with shining the light on people who are not doing well in their lives, and making a change.
Who are we talking about?
Your mom.
Yeah, she basically could have gone with her degree that her and her husband got at Colorado State and done anything she wanted to do. And she took this little black boy who she found randomly in the trash
Right.
that was, almost technically dead with contusions in his skull and had been starved and was in a coma, and took him to the hospital and decided to keep him and added him to her family and raised him in Fort Collins, Colorado and Wyoming. And when her and her husband went separate ways, she decided she'd move the family to Washington, D.C. And she would raise a black child in an all black city. And that's where the fun began,
Right.
Yeah, that's where the comedy comes from. That's why my book is called Living in Color. I just happened to be on a show called In Living Color, but I lived in color because I didn't know what color I was.
Right. Your siblings are white. Your mom was white.
Yeah. So I got to Washington, D.C., and the black kids, beat our ass,
Right.
because we moved there during the riots in '68 when King got shot. And they were calling my sister White Cracker and my brother, they were calling my sister and brother White Cracker. And they were calling me White Cracker Lover while they beat us up. So I went home to my mother and I said, why are they calling me White Cracker Lover? Because I like graham crackers, man. And she said, that's what people, your color call people our color when they don't like them. I was like, what do you mean? What color am I? She said, you're black. And I said, no, I'm brown. Because I learned my colors from the crayons.
Right.
She said, but that's what we call you. I thought that was the stupidest thing I ever heard. We moved it got so bad, we moved to the suburbs in Wheaton, Maryland, '69, And that's the first time I heard the N-word because grown men were chasing me home. Kill the N. Throwing stuff through a window.
That was a rough time. That was a really rough time.
And I was 5, and I'd be riding my bike and a truck would stop full of men. Chase, barely made it out of there. FYI, it's going to be hard to catch a little black boy, okay? But that's a long story. So.
Well, you're fast and you're strong. You're in shape.
You know what I'm saying? So, So I get home. Ask the NBA and the NFL what's going on with us. So I get home and I go to my mother. I go, you know what? Who are these ends? We got to stay away from them because these are not good people.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, that's what people our color call people your color when they don't like them. Now, I really didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like people were like animals because I grew up in farms and with meadows and ranches, and I saw a lot of animal litters. So if a cat was a brown cat, you could have a black kitten, a white kitten, a speckled kitten. If a horse had a colt, it could be a white colt. It could have a brown colt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I thought we were just born in different colors. We were all the same thing.
Right.
You see?
I did.
I didn't know it was like that. So black stuck because I moved to a suburb of Washington, D.C. then. And when the big white guys chased me, the black guys came and stood in front of me and the white guys ran the other way. And so I've been black since that day.
That makes sense.
Since that day,
Yeah.
but it never changed. It never changed because of my home and the way I was raised. It never changed my initial sense of color, which I was taught through the universe that all life has color. Just as simple as that. And then when I think about the human race, and I think about, and I think about the human's trajectory here as Homo sapiens just moving through this earth and populating it, we wouldn't have different colors if colors didn't mix,
Right.
So,
right.
I'm imagining it when one clan came up on the other one, the women in that clan went, those guys over there that are different shade look kind of good,
Mhm.
and the guys over there said, the girls of the other clan, they're another color, but they look good. That's the reason why we got together,
Right.
You look in the Bible, there's a lot of begatting.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And
that's one of my favorite words.
begotten.
That one and smiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Smitten. That's a good one.
No, he's smite. When you get smite, I call it
smite.
Smoke.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tommy, one. There's so many things to talk about with you. We could do this all day, but I want people to also know. By the way, even before that, you mentioned your book. Do you have a copy in front of you? Mm-hmm. Can you show everybody?
Do I have one? I don't have one right here.
Okay.
But I can get one brought to me really quickly.
That'd be great. We can do a little show and tell. Yeah, because I want everybody to know about your book and the record, of course. Okay. You almost, as well as having these jobs early on as a cook, you worked at a hospital as well. In Hyattsville, you worked in the warehouse, and you also in a hospital kitchen. There's a lot of things that you've done, that we've all done before we were doing what we do now.
Yeah.
But you had another career choice. You almost didn't become an actor in a comic. You were going to be an artist.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I was on the highway to being the super artist highway to being a ceramics, making ceramics and creating ceramics.
Can you talk about that for a moment? And also, your first semester in college. I know you have a great story there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was super duper good at ceramics, and it's something I hid from my friends in high school because, you grow up in the projects in D.C., you want to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
You go to friends going, hey, man, that's my ceramics in the display in the high school. That ain't yours, man. You know what I mean? And that ain't
right. They're not going to go coil or slab.
Yeah. They're not going to go, wow, look at the contouring on this thing. You know what I mean?
Man.
Wow,
great.
your glaze is great,
Yeah, your glaze, right? Crackle glaze?
Yeah. But my counselor and my art teacher really worked hard to try to get me into Parsons and into SMU, which were the top schools for ceramics at the time. Mm-hmm. And there's one thing that my mom told me, you don't want to be an artist because you're not going to make any money, And I actually listened, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Because I ended up performing at SMU and going into their ceramics room and being brought in there by the students that brought me to there. So in a symbolic way, I was back, but also ceramics was really, really good to me and the ceramics teacher. I'm performing in Jacksonville, Florida. I hadn't seen her since high school. She had helped me in so many ways. She basically got me through high school.
Yeah.
They say, Mrs. Sandberg is here at my show. Hadn't seen her in 30 years. Maybe even more. So I go back there, and she's there with her children who are now grown. She says, oh, you're doing so good, Tommy. And I say, thank you. She said, you saved my life, Tommy. And I said, what do you mean? She said she had 5 brain tumors and had them removed and was having surgery. And once it was done, she was in a coma for 6 months.
Wow.
And she said, I heard your voice and I woke up in the hospital room and you were on the TV. And I said, no, I didn't. Yeah, I said, no, that I didn't save your life. The love that you gave me just came back around. You know? And the same thing happened in my first year of college. You know, it wasn't, you know, me actually quitting college because I had lost the job anyway. It was actually my counselor said, don't worry about it. She said, because I don't think college is your gig. She said, something about you. I've talked to you through this whole semester. There's something about you. And I can't really think of what your calling is, but you have this type of knowledge that doesn't belong being directed. She said, you know, you got a new job, Ramada Inn, you know, you got your own apartment. Why don't you just explore right now what you are going to be? Didn't see her since then, right? Years later, I am walking through a lobby of a hotel. This is now after being an accomplished movie star, all the stuff that I've done. And this woman walks up to me and says, do you remember me? And of course I said, yes. And she's there with another man. She goes, it haunted me for years because you're the only student that I ever told not to go to school. You know?
Yeah.
And then I saw you on TV.
That's a bold move.
Crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, I saw you on TV and I started crying. And I didn't know if I'd ever see you again. And she said, this is my husband. And he said, she's right, man. She's right. She thought about you a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
I actually met her. So those are some great transitional stories.
Yeah.
It's just about following that road in your life, you know, and learning how to see the good in things, even though we're surrounded with a lot of dark clouds and wind and some nasty weather in life sometimes. You know, it's almost like the seasons. When it gets the coldest is when the warmth is actually on its way.
Well, we need that warmth back because we've been in a season.
Yes, we have.
Absolutely. Before we talk about your record, I wanted to talk a little bit more because we had started talking about this the other day when we were catching up. Just, and you're bringing it up now, but it's your observations on the role of the super rich and other people in the world and their influence on race and on war. And I know you have a strong point of view.
Well, it's pretty simple, you know. It's pretty. Hold on one second. I'm running out of charge on this phone. That was the good Lord. He lives here. So, I mean, and it's a she.
She'll be in a moment, right? I know.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a pretty simple one, and it's not that this knowledge is not mine. You know, this knowledge has been proven through countless wars and countless deaths and countless lives that have paid for this truth.
And by the way, not to interrupt, but it's important. You are also a huge history buff. So you were speaking from a place of knowledge.
Ooh, in such a
lot
way.
of, this is your thing. Yeah. You love history.
In such a way.
Continue.
And it just seems to me that, you know, of course, man is denatured, and Ibsen talked about that in his books, and on and on. But the fact that we are raised above nature, the one thing that's unique to us as a creature on this earth, you know, as a being on this earth, is that we're not yet communal. In other words, if we're able to harness one resource as a clan when we were in our clan stage, you know, we had, let's just say that and the next clan had access to fruit.
Mm-hmm.
We still lack the ability to share. At some point, either side goes, why should we trade fruit with the people with the fish when we can just go get it all and just take it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's been that one primal principle that we struggle with
as a human race.
I'm just trying to keep it simple,
mm-hmm.
away from politics. Yeah. And so as a human race, it hasn't gone too well, but the fifth dimension told us that we were in the age of the Aquarius. We're in the dawning of the age of the Aquarius in the 70s when all these changes happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now that change is here. And that change they're talking about is we're in the age of enlightenment. We're in the age where it's either share or perish. Mm-hmm. And we got a nice little indication when the earth stopped.
Right.
And everybody in the world had to go inside. And we also got to see how we behave when one of the other knees, the other guy's neck. So we got at that point. So at this point, I feel, and this is subjective, but this is the only life I have. So it's coming from me and my observations. I feel that we have to change from being race, which is, the Chinese racing for their resources, for their water, for their oil, for their stuff. It's the Europeans looking for their oil and their water, the Africans, and everybody's racing for all these resources on this one little blue marble that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have to turn from being a human race turn to actually being mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, mankind.
Do you have faith
it's one of the famous movies that one of the first movies that I saw. I'm sorry. Do I have faith in mankind?
That we're getting there. That we can do
question?
this. Yeah, that is my question.
Oh yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, are you kidding me? There's signs every day. I was in New York City, and it was during rush hour, and an old white woman fell out on the sidewalk, and more than one people picked her up.
Good.
And if every human being on this earth was either a blue dot or a blue dot for, a negative person and a red dot a blue dot for a positive person and a red dot for a negative one, the blues would outnumber the reds, because that's the only reason why we're here. Is that ethic about good and sharing was passed through all of the generations, and it has improved us.
Yeah.
We're in the alpha state where we can destroy it all ourselves, or we can save it all for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're at that point. And so some decisions the decision is ours. And we just had a nice test run.
Right. And a big part of the decision is whether we individually choose to embrace our compassion.
Right. It's now time. It's now time to find a way. And so we have a small group. That has basically all the resources.
Mm.
Is that small group going to find a way to make sure that everybody has what they have, that their lifetime can't be consumed? They hold about 20 lifetimes of resources. Is that worth sharing for the life of our earth? Or are you going to push this little button if you don't get your way?
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the extreme rich.
The worst that you...
The 2% or the 1%.
You're going to press that little button and get your way.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get your way, you're going to press the button. In other words, if I can't have it all, nobody can. And it's kind of getting to that point. Billions and billions and billions of dollars of resources are spent on nuclear arms. With what we have already, we can destroy it 50 times. Why do we need
How about
that?
paying farmers not to grow food
to me that
to control the price when there's people starving in the world?
Hey, Yeah. Yeah, that little button is
Mm-hmm.
sitting there. And it's like, if I can't have it all, guess what? But we don't have that much power.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that much power. The power is off. And whatever created a seed, and whatever created a cloud, or whatever created a molecule, or whatever created DNA, whatever created soil, whatever created our sun, whatever created what we breathe, whatever created a blade of grass, whatever created rubber out of a tree. We have no control
Mm-hmm.
over that, but it's all here for us. Mm-hmm.
Well said. Tommy's debut single release features the saxophone of Dave Koz with background vocals by David Thomas of Take Six. Songs produced by contemporary jazz hitmaker, keyboardist Greg Manning. Sweet Reunion is out now on all digital music platforms and at Contemporary Jazz Radio. Sounds great. I love it. Congratulations. I have two quotes to read. Can I start with those, or do you want to talk about the record for a moment?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. The first is from Greg Manning, who produced the single, who you're working with on the entire record. Greg Manning said, "The only other entertainer I can compare Tommy Davidson to is Sammy Davis Jr. Tommy's innate musicality and perfect sense of timing shines bright in everything he does. I feel very fortunate that I was part in Tommy's latest music project. He's a force of nature bubbling over with ideas and creative drive. I'm looking forward to seeing Tommy perform live. I'm a fan." That's from your producer, Greg. So I also reached out to your guest artist, Dave Koz, who's a buddy of both of ours, and Lisa as well. Of course, you know Dave really well. I asked if he would want to say something about working with you and you. Here's what he said, and it's long, but I'll read quickly.
Really?
Because it's worth sharing with you. Yeah. Tommy is truly a one of a kind.
Okay.
Truly one of a kinder. Emphasis on the kinder. He's become a good friend, a trusted ally in our mission to lift up the world through laughter and music. But the funny thing is, most people know him and love him for his intellectual wit and unique perspective on human behavior. But this guy's a total musician at heart. That's why I'm so happy he finally did it and took the plunge to record his own album. He put the same sense of passion and determination into showing up as a recording artist as he does as a comedian. The results are pretty freaking cool. So proud of Tommy for doing this. Finally, he can get off all of our backs. For the last many years, this guy's been driving every musician crazy, coming up to us and singing all our hits to us. He knows every note and every nuance of our music. Talk to Albright or Brown or Braun or Butler or Benoit. It's the same thing. Get this guy away from us with his singing our songs. Maybe now we can bug the shit out of him singing his songs. In all seriousness, I couldn't be happier for all his success, and especially for pushing himself to express his musical side. But above all else, Tommy is a beautiful human being, a great friend, fantastic husband, and doting dad to the cutest baby I may have ever seen. Tommy, you owe $10 for all these flowery compliments. Love, Dave. Dave Koz.
You know what?
That is great.
Drive them crazy, and it has everything to do with me being, just being a child of music. A child of music. I think the one true gift that I have, besides comedy, the one is music from the very beginning. And I can harness any type of music that through me. Any type of music, I can harness it through me. It doesn't matter if it's blues. It's like there's this old black blues guitarist inside of me.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's country, and you have to worry about the past. It's all sincere.
Right.
You know what I mean? It could be a big band. Fly me to the moon and let me Fly over in the sky. You know, it's or it could be, you know, the 70s Solar, you know, I wish those days would come back once more. You know, it's just in me. It's in me, you know, from that to the best rock you ever wanted to hear, you know. You need two legs, baby, I ain't fooling.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all there. It's a kid that grew up in communes and ghettos and was there at protests. You know, I'm
Here we are. Yeah.
But it's the music. It's the music, and
it is inside of you.
Jazz.
Yeah.
Well, with jazz, I mean, you know, when I met Dave Koz, I had already known his saxophone parts to mostly all of his songs. He had one song that I loved, and I did his saxophone line for him.
Yeah, it is inside of you. It's really crystal clear. I mean, one of the things you're known for is that you're a great impressionist as well as comedian, but like you said, it's not just copying. It really is inside of you. And I knew that because you and I didn't know to the extent, but you and I worked together many, many years ago on TV. You were doing comedy, but I could tell just from the little bit of singing that you were doing, playing around, that you were a musician. It was really crystal clear. So that's part of the reason I'm so excited that you're finally embracing that yourself with all these wonderful friends that you have to put your music out. It's great.
I'm just a really fortunate person in that sense that, you know, I was touched by some things that I couldn't control. That actually landed in me in a position where I can help be happy. I can help people be happy. You know, I'm like a closed heart surgeon. You know, the open heart surgery, you have to cut the whole thing out to deal with it. You know, I can just be around you and help you deal with it, deal with your heart. You know, and the little boy that got his heart broken by both blacks and whites and was in the middle has been blessed with a life that both of them I can make laugh. And I used to be at the dinner table with my family and I'd say something and everybody would start laughing. This is a comedy that I didn't know yet. So I went to my mom and I said, why does everybody keep laughing at me? You know, I pulled her to the side of the dinner table finally, you know. She said, Tommy, people aren't laughing at you. She said, you have a way of putting things that make people so happy. You have a way of putting things that makes people happy so fast that they have to laugh before they can even understand it.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't apply that knowledge until just recently. Over the last, I say 10 years, I remembered what she said. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a comedian, because I never thought people would take me serious. But I remember that she said, you have a way of putting things that make people happy fast.
You've made me happy. I'm one. Yeah. I mean, just watching you over the years. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Just watching, you know, we all have our favorites. You did like a Bruce Lee thing one time that I just fell out, you know, years ago, you know, just a martial arts thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that was great. You know, yeah. Welcome to Hans Island. You know, and all this stuff was already there. And then some stuff I can just harness it and then absorb it and then morph into it. I tried to do Obama at first and I couldn't do it. And then I remembered, you don't have to try, just watch him enough. And I watched him enough. And sure enough, it started becoming really easy to do him, because I started seeing that he'd take his time with certain phrases, and there's ways that he can talk that sound black and white at the same time, but yet with clarity. He can take something that isn't even remotely important and make it sound presidentially important. Like, for instance, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. They're part of an essential breakfast, which actually they're a part of a breakfast, because every time you see them advertised, they're with a carafe of orange juice, a carafe of milk, a bunch of bananas, an orange, and an apple. That means they are part of an essential breakfast. Now, that Tony the Tiger is a part of children's lives. Not like Michael Jackson. That was a whole other story. He went through a lot of trouble with that. I'm talking about the fact that Tony the Tiger can jet ski, he can ride a skateboard, and kids are attracted to what he can do. He also is fashionable. He got this little blue bandana. That doesn't mean he's a crib. That just means he has style. It's one of the things that I've always had with me. And this is a business that you can't really control. This is a business that has two components to it. It's called show business,
Yes.
And they struggle for control.
They between each other.
And we're going through a phase where the business makes the show. Yeah. Right now we're going through a phase where the business dominates the show. Where the business is regarded as important than the entertainment itself. And of course we go through phases, but that's one of my observations. Talent's not required.
Well, certainly in music.
Like it used to be in entertainment. Right. Popularity is required.
Do you see yourself?
Chris Rock told me, I don't know why you're writing all these beautiful TV shows and you're doing all this stuff. Because quality's out of style.
Right. But you don't lower the bar for yourself.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Do you stay true to yourself as an artist in your comedy?
No, I was born to be
in your music.
Yeah, I was born to be this way. So, what I do know as quality, it's okay with me to know that as quality because art is subjective. But what's good is good. What's good is good. I mean, if a baby can see a bagpipe or a saxophone, and she's still going to think there's something very special about both of them. Very special about both of them. So, luckily I grew up with all these variable and opposites that complemented each other. From Broadway plays that are on different spectrum, from Oliver to Hair. From Tommy to Bye Bye Birdie. Like there, it's and then the television realm. From sitcom to sketch show to music variety show Lawrence Welk to music variety show Don Kirshner's rock concert.
And these are all...
It's all of this thing that comes into this.
These are all the things that you were exposed to, that you integrated or observed. You're an observer of life. You just took them in and... Yeah. They're if I was to put it into modern technical terms, I have a lot of stuff downloaded into my hard drive. Which you have access to. So is it just right there to draw from all the time? I mean, what's your creative process when you're improvising? I know, and comedy is not really mostly improvisation. It's preparation. Like doing music as well. You make it look like it's fresh, and then you stay present like you are, and you bring the immediate now into the experience. But do you feel?
Yeah, I borrowed that concept.
Yeah, we share it. So you've got this.
It was a borrowed concept.
Say that again.
Yeah, it was a borrowed concept. It was from me studying Bruce Lee, and I saw an interview of him in 1968 where he was asked, "Why are you such a great martial artist?" And as you know, he took a lot of styles and knew a lot of styles of martial arts. So he took judo, aikido. He knew each and every style 100%. But what he did was he took the best out of each one and created a style out of that. So he said, I have to train my body to the point where it moves at the speed of a reflex. But it's not really a reflex because I had trained to get it to that point. So what I experienced in martial arts is an unnatural naturalness, natural unnaturalness. So I said to myself, wait a minute, man, if I took impressions, I took improv, comedy. I taught political comedy. Took all those things, Jonan, and took all those things and practiced them all at once, and then came up with a way to express them as one.
Mm-hmm.
You got my act. Because I now experience the natural, unnaturalness, and unnatural naturalness. It's not natural for a comedian to come out laughing before he says something. It's got to that speed. I can tell a joke and laugh at the same time you do. It's like my comedy is at the speed of the audience. It's really something.
Do you practice martial arts?
Not better than anyone else's. It's just I did as a kid. I practiced martial arts as a kid, and I boxed, amateur, and really good for a long time. So, and I still know my kung fu teacher, who used to ride me around to tournaments, and he's the one that turned me on to Sergio.
Oh,
Mendes.
no kidding! That's great.
On to Sergio Mendes.
It's all connected.
It
is all.
Sergio Mendes, 77. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, He, is out of Washington D.C. And a black man that travels constantly to China and perfects his craft. That's how lucky I've been, man.
Great teachers and mentors in your life. That's crystal clear.
Yes. It's a good thing.
We're getting towards the end of the show. Do you have a few more minutes to open it up to audience questions? Great.
Oh yeah.
Lisa.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
Show you the cover
yes.
To
Where's
my
the book
book
cover? Show the book. And people, you can go to the website there, www.tommydavidson.com, for his new single, Sweet Surrender, and to buy the book.
Thanks, Lisa, for posting that. So if anybody would like to make a comment or a question, now's your time. And
I was just checking.
I would love to hear questions. That's my favorite
I'm looking
part.
to see. I didn't see any comments from anybody yet, but if
there's the book.
Yeah.
If I can get that ring light off of it.
Yeah, we see the ring light.
That's a halo, actually.
It just follows you wherever you go. There it is. That's
there
good.
You go. How about that?
Tommy Davidson, Living in Color.
Tommy Davidson, Living in Color. What's funny about me? Yeah, Living in Color. What's funny about me?
That's awesome.
And you just found out what that is.
Everything.
Yeah, we took a deep dive into what's funny.
This could be like part one of a two-part.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there.
I would like that.
I'm just putting that out there.
I usually like to extend.
So Chris does have we do have a question here from Chris. I'm going to let Chris go first.
You're welcome back anytime, Tommy. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we do have a guest. Chris, you're on the air with us.
Okay.
What would you like to say to Tommy?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. This is Chris Rossetti in San Francisco. Tommy Davidson, what an honor to speak to you, sir.
Hey, Chris.
Hello. I've been been an admirer of your talent for many years back in the In Loving? Yeah. In Loving
Color. Yeah, you can say Love in Color.
Yeah, sequel. In Love in Color. Oh, let's take a trip.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, your comedy.
Color. We're both in interracial marriage.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
It's true.
Your
you know what I mean?
Your comedy was so physical. How did you avoid getting hurt seriously, or were you ever hurt seriously? Because your comedy was amazingly.
Yeah, I was hurt. It actually happens. It actually happens so fast that I don't really think about what my body got to go through. I was warming up for In Living Color on the shooting of our pilot. And I didn't actually have a sketch on the show. So I was frustrated. I was trying to get the audience into it, but the audience was into the show. So I'm doing stand-up and my shin hit a light and I didn't even look down, and at the end of the show, I pulled up my my pants and my socks were covered in blood and it was this deep cut on my shin, Then there was another show that I did at the Black Tie Affair at Michigan University. That's the Wolverines. And I'm on stage and the guy's heckling me. And all of a sudden I get this flash on the side of my head, and I didn't even know what it was. But it hit me pretty hard. Someone had thrown something, at me, and it hit me right in the eye. And I just kept going. I mean, I drove this guy in between the seat because he wasn't going to beat me. This is the only thing that I do, I do right. So Charles Smith, the famous defensive back, all-pro defensive back from the Raiders, he's in the front row, and he goes, and I go, I dap and I'm bleeding, and I look, and the blood is all over my tuxedo. You know what I mean? And I just kept going. And I finished that show, and just to go to show you, all white people don't go for no damn racism, because Brian Greasy jumped on that guy. It was a black guy that threw it, and he came to my defense, bro. I think one of the misnomers about white America is that somehow they're all racist, and that's not the truth. If that was actually true, then they wouldn't have gone to Omaha Beach with the rest of us.
Absolutely. Hey, Chris, thank you for,
that's my truth.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris, for joining the conversation.
And that's not Miami.
Right. That's my people. That's where I grew up.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
That's what I mean,
Yeah, that's another episode too. Lisa, do you have this is a rhetorical question because Lisa, why don't you share your thoughts and questions with us right now while we wrap this up? Oh my gosh.
So it's so funny. I just went through like a homegoing
thing.
Girl. Because Tommy, I don't even know if you knew, like my mom is from Rockville, Maryland. And I lived in Olney and I lived in, so you're talking about Hyattsville and Wheaton. Nobody
by Leisure World.
Nobody knows Wheaton. Nobody knows Wheaton, Maryland, unless you live like Olney, Maryland. People don't know those places. So that was just, it was just kind of good to hear. My Howard days all came flooding back and visited my grandparents, my great grandparents.
How about that?
But I am going to plug me because I am actually also singing backup on Your Sweet Surrender.
You are.
Yes,
I didn't know that. Nobody told me. Lisa,
yes, I am.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I got the check to prove it.
It's a best check, but she got the check to prove it. Yeah.
No, that's okay. But it's so wonderful to see you because you are a reminder to me and everybody else that nobody should limit you. I always use Psalms 10 through 31, 10 through 31 of the woman who was doing all of these things. And I said, God didn't tell her to stop. Do whatever it is that you have a mind to do creatively, and you embody that. There are no limits. So I'm going to brag on you now. I did finish your script, your screenplay. I read it months ago, and I don't remember if I emailed you to tell you that I not only read it, but I had notes.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, so we need to connect because I can talk you through that. But I read that, so there are things about this man that people still don't even know that he has done. That's the beauty of it. It's like we never stop evolving. We never stop growing. There is no, this was the horrible thing that happened to me. This is just what life is. It's just what life is. And to be able to accept what is the way you have accepted it in your life, and then to just continue to move through, that right there is, if we could bottle that makes the world a better place every single time.
I would agree.
And the time we have is the time that we have. And who says we're going nowhere?
Right.
How can I be something and come from nothing?
I do have a question because I know so on your difficult days, in the moments, I'm not even going to say whole days because my mom used to tell me you got 10 minutes to be in that bad mood. So I thought you could put a time limit on having a bad day.
That.
They were 10 minutes that was the end. What do you do in those moments? What is your go-to? Is it a meditation? Is it, what do you do? Do you just sit with it? What do you do to get yourself through that?
Mostly my knee-jerk reaction is to help someone.
That's interesting.
My knee-jerk reaction to get out of myself and because I'm just as prone to self-pity or guilt or looking back in remorse on something that I could have wanted to change or something that I want. I'm just as as I have just the capacity of any human being to be jealous, and to envy what someone else has, and or from a self-centric standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
I deserve this and I deserve that. And anytime I get in those states of mind, what helps me is to help someone right away.
Thank you for that.
Right away. And there's so
Yeah.
many people to help.
Yeah. Thank you
Even
for
if you're
that.
calling, a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, "How are you doing today?"
Right.
Or you start being aware of people around you and start saying nice things.
No,
People love to hear good things. So I'll start going, and it wouldn't be a lie.
right,
I'll go,
right,
man,
right.
I like how you match that sweater with your
Right.
hat that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the people light up. They go, yeah, I know. I got this, in the yard sale, and then I had this at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just beautiful things happen when you think of other things instead of yourself.
Thank you for sharing that, because that vulnerability, and especially with your personality and the level of fame that you've come to, it's easy for people to look at you and think, oh man, this dude never has a down day. He never has a bad moment. His life is sheer perfection. And for the most part, it may feel like that. But for you to be that vulnerable and real to let people know, nope, I got all the same human stuff the rest of the humans have. And I have to figure out ways to not get consumed by it. And then finally, are we neighbors again? Did you move darn near up the street? Okay, you know where I live. Don't make me come look for you.
I did. We're over there. But it's like the girl living in the Batcave, okay?
Right.
So you can't even find it on GPS.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So you have to have explicit directions.
That driveway situation.
Like that
little driveway situation.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like getting here.
But it's yeah. But it has such a spiritual feel to it.
Awesome.
It seems like some Tibetan,
yep.
Some Tibetan temple in the middle of, Southern California.
All right. Well, we need to get together. We can get together and talk your screenplay.
Yes, please. I would love to do that. And we have to.
Yes.
We have to reconnect anyway.
Yes.
So, I was telling him, hey, listen, in a text last night, I said, I got a feeling me and you are going to want to be taking a long walk down the Yellow Brick Road.
Yes, you did.
And that goes with you too, Lisa.
Gotcha.
I love you, girl.
Love you
really
too, bud.
do.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Tommy. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This opportunity to reconnect with you after all these years is magnificent. It's great. And timely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right on time.
And it's still only Tuesday.
That's right.
Still only Tuesday.
Absolutely. I have one more question I want to ask you before I ask the 3 closing questions that I ask all of my guests. But this is just on my mind right now. So I'm curious, what has changed about your perspective in life as you've gotten older? And what's remained the same?
Well, what's changed about my perspective in life is with the time
Tommy,
I have.
Did you cut out again?
No, I'm here. With the time I have, it's important what I do with it. Because I'm mortal. So with the time that I have, it's important what I do with it. I even as a 16-year-old avid reader, I read a lot of Dr. Dwayne Dyer, and he talked about vocation versus vacation. And then he talked about the last critical inch, And so he said, if you do something that you're passionate about, you never have to worry about taking a vacation from it because it's your vocation. And you start living this life and they both share the same space. And he talked about the last critical inch. And the last critical inch is the moment that you're on your porch and you're in your elderly stage and you get a chance to reflect back on your life. Do you want it to be a reflection about doing all the things that you wanted to do and being satisfied in that? And that last critical inch is controlled by your every moment. And I read that book when I was 16. And that seems to be my mantra. And I didn't even realize it till right now. I just remembered that. But thanks for the question, because you brought the reason why I think that way.
Thanks for answering it. My final 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
First is, since this show is called Making It, what does making it mean to you, both personally and professionally?
Making it, to me, just means a meaningful existence. A meaningful existence. And that comes down to the core of happiness. I was in a place called Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. It's the worst. It's like raggedy. It's like Vegas, but 10 times as seedy or whatever. And I see this little brown kitten with these long ears, a little kitten. And there's trash everywhere. And this kitten is having a ball, And I'm looking, he's jumping up and down and trying to play with people and jumping and rolling around by himself, And I'm trying to get people to pay attention to this. Look at this kitten, look at this kitten. And no one's seeing it. They're so busy doing their life, you know what I mean? And I realized why I noticed that kitten is because that kitten was like me. That even though I was a little kid, I was the most precious, inquisitive, happy thing, despite the circumstances, no matter what, And when I got 8, things changed, because that's when I moved to the kind of neighborhood where it was just really rough, and I had to start to change my behavior. You know what I mean? So what I made a decision to do was to be 58 on the outside, but be 8 on the inside, boy. Yep.
Tommy, can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
Yeah, one of the most important ones is learning how to walk through mistakes, man. Learn how to walk through failures too. Being able to not personalize those and really work really, really hard to see your part in it so you can grow, man. And that doesn't happen without people around you. How are you going to know that you have a speck of food on your cheek unless there's a mirror around? And that's kind of what people are for in my life. I like to have people around me that, will tell me, listen, Tommy, I love you, but
you messed up.
Or
you could do better.
But apologies aren't enough.
Right.
At some point you have to learn how to atone. Do you know what atone means? And then I get that thing, and I get an understanding out of that, So these things, help me because we're always growing. This is life is a process. It's a process. It's kind of like money in a way. It's not to be hoarded and saved. Money is called currency because if it keeps moving, it benefits everyone.
Amen.
I said that for the first time.
Write that down.
Never said that.
That's worth repeating.
Yeah. Please remember that.
Knowing Lisa, she's already typed it into the crawl so everybody can see that.
Right, exactly.
It sounds like you surround yourself with good friends and good family. That's important to you. And you understand the value. To me as well.
Yeah, it is important to me. Yeah, and I had to find the value in it. Because when I became a star, I started seeing people who had some of the things that I thought would constitute me as, a person of value. And when that got empty, and when I wasn't feeling Accepted, man. I wasn't feeling accepted. I wasn't feeling loved. I really realized, well, wait a second. These people aren't like my mom at all. These people aren't like the people that grew up in my neighborhood. These people are different than me. I had to be shown that, when someone told you that they loved you back where I'm from, they meant it. When they're expressing themselves or trying to determine themselves, they're at least honest in their approach. If the guy's a thief, he says it, man. Don't come around here because I'll take your watch, boy.
Right, you're getting the truth.
A lot of that came, the truth came dressed in, aspirations about having a private jet and a yacht or something, or if I don't have an Oscar sitting right here, then I don't fit into this group, or if I don't, this or that's got to be this, and it's that isolation that I tried to fix myself that took me to the point where I had to question who I was. And out of that, all I had to do was start over. The question, if somebody asked me, what is your biggest accomplishment, in your career, my answer would be, I got to stay Barbara Davidson's youngest son, Tommy.
Yeah. Right.
I got to say him.
It sounds like, in a way, you're saying you have survived fame. And that's actually something that oftentimes needs to be survived. Or it can become a distraction, maybe.
I survived the illusion.
Sure.
The illusion of fame. Yeah,
it's the illusion that if you have that, you're somehow better than everyone else. And I just like Barney Fife, man, and Pink Panther and Candy Apple, man. You know what I mean?
I
like
want to see what's in the Cracker Jacks box when I open it.
Yeah, I love me. Yeah, man. I love me a bicycle
or a decoder ring,
or a nice, cool looking Mustang or something, or let a caterpillar kind of crawl up my hand or something,
being in the moment.
Yep.
My final question to you, and then I'll give you closing thoughts. Anything else that you want to say or share? But this question is, at this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what would you tell your younger self?
The best is yet to come. But you're just going to have to walk through it, man. You're just going to have to walk through it. My daughter going through ups and downs and everything. You know what? Something I've learned. God opens one door to close another, but it's a bitch in the hallway.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been a beautiful conversation. Thanks for making the time to join me and Lisa and our virtual audience and live audience. And any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, that I'm just really happy to be entering this business that had such an influence on me, and I'm just really happy that I've been given the type of life that makes other people happy, and that I've been surrounded with people that I know and don't know who have my best interests in mind.
Well, your energy and your perspective is something I believe is needed more of in our music business. So welcome. You are being welcomed with open arms.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I'm so glad to be here. Yeah, I share this with, the Carpenters and DeBarge and, Dionne Warwick. And I share this with I can't believe it, because this is something that I've really always wanted.
Believe it, because it's your time. It's your time to do this, Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Appreciate
Everybody go check out the new single, get the book, watch the movies, go down the YouTube rabbit hole, read the book again, and then check out the rest of the album. By the way, when is the rest of the album coming out? When can I hear more?
I'm gonna just guesstimate now. Probably about
Okay, great.
October.
So you're taking your time to get it right.
Because, well, you know, I want to release the way that things look now. I would rather release one song at a time.
Yeah.
Just so that the person that loves it can have it around for a little bit. You know what I mean? Because, you know, the way that the public is with a new thing, they go, something new.
Right. Shiny object.
Next,
right.
You know, so, you know, yeah. So I'm going to just release singles, and then I'm going to add 3 more to that or 4 more to that, and then do the whole album. Because I grew up with albums. I grew up with albums that have, But with the albums that I had, they were very dense with good stuff. You know, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, Earth, Wind and Fire, That's the Way of the World, Carole King's Tapestry, Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. You know, I can just go on and go on about how important a collection of music can be together.
Yeah, it's a complete story.
Even though we're in a single age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I love singles, and I also love the arc of an album because it's a whole, you create a world.
Right. Hey, you know, remember that thing called a record? You know, sometimes you can cut it off your cereal box and play it. You know what I mean?
Go look it up, kids. It's true. Well, when we'll get the internet connection together for next time, you come back again when you've got more music to release. So, because I don't want to miss a word of what you're saying, and this has been a great conversation. So, congratulations again, Tommy. It's great to see you. And everybody, stay safe.
Love you already.
Stay inspired, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks, Tommy.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Wollman.